Hello, everybody out there, and hello to Joe Monteleone. I hope I managed it. I'm very pleased to have you here tonight, Joe.
Thank you so much for having me. This is so much fun.
Yeah, I hope we will have fun. I am very happy to have somebody from the Generation Y here today because we usually have older people here, and it's very interesting to have people who know about tarot and dance, especially your age. I'm very happy, and we will have fun, I'm sure. Sorry, I talked a lot today, so as I said, I'm a bit looking for words at times today. Joe, my short introduction of you, as far as I know, you live in near New York and New Jersey, but you do a lot of your creative work in New York, and you're a counselor, you are a tarot reader, tarot expert, and you're also a dancer and choreographer. And that's why I thought it would be excellent to talk to you about this interesting subject of tarot and dance. Did I represent you correctly?
Yeah, definitely. Yep. Most of my work right now is love coaching, but tarot is my longest running work, teaching tarot, reading tarot. And then I have a dance career. I'm like half retired dance, like retired light or diet retired kind of. And, but I still dance. And right now I'm really into spinning fire and drag. That's my latest kind of fixation. But yeah, the dance has been like a long journey. So yeah.
Before we go to dance and spinning fires and drag, you say love counselor. It's the first time I meet somebody who says I'm specialized in love. Why is that?
Well, as a lot of readers may know, like 75% of the questions you get asked as a tarot reader is, when am I going to meet my soulmate? You know, and not only that, but for me, I found that love, something about falling in love, throws us into an insanity like nothing else. You know, it really like busts us open in a certain type of way. And for me, that was like not a good thing. And after like years and years of like this, whatever this thing, falling in love, it was like such a distraction for me. I was like, I need to figure this out. So I took everything I studied in occultism, Eastern mysticism, Western mysticism. I looked into psychology, anthropology. I did my own deep work. I worked with coaches and therapists and my own research. And I like really started to figure out what this, I mean, not figure it out, but kind of get an understanding of what love is and what it can do for good or for worse. You know, people live for love, people die for love. It's in poetry all over the world. And I started to really look at it and be like, this is a mystical path. In just the same way that tarot is a mystical path, or Buddhism is a mystical path, or it's like, because when you love someone, it's like a drug, you know, it's like this crazy thing. And so I started to notice these patterns in a lot of my tarot clients, and they all needed similar types of guidance that I felt, though the tarot could answer, I felt that there was something more. So I looked more deeply into tarot, and I worked very closely with a mentor whose name is Purim King, who's a therapist and a coach. And I started to kind of figure out like ways that dating and relationship building can be a spiritual practice that is expansive for both people. Because I kept finding that it was not expansive for both people in so many of my clients. So that's kind of my latest obsession, inquiry. And I think it's a very powerful and interesting thing.
Yeah, I think that many people come to the tarot because of love issues, love crisis. Mm-hmm. The same with me, I have to confess.
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes you get hooked, and you not only love is a drug, but I think tarot can be a drug as well. So,
yeah.
But you started, you said very early with tarot. How did it happen? When you were a child, how do you find tarot?
I had my first reading when I was about 10 or so.
Did you read it or you got it?
I got it. Yeah. And I'm so happy I did, because it was 5 minutes, a 5-minute reading of tarot. The woman told me that I was going to marry a woman and have 2 kids. That's not going to happen. Probably going to marry a man, or not marry at all. But but anyway, it was so inspiring. And I was like, that was the coolest thing ever. And the first thing I did was start playing with playing cards. And then I eventually got my first tarot deck, and I was hooked. I was bringing tarot cards to school. I was getting in trouble. I was studying Wicca before it was cool, like in the 90s, like before it was everywhere. I was that weird goth kid, like studying magic. And yeah, it just went from there. And it's been on and off since then. And it's opened up so many doors for me.
Why were you so thrilled if she told you something which is
at the time, I think I was just so cool. It was so cool that she could tell me so much information from looking at cards. And
which was wrong.
Yeah, totally wrong. But you know what? But it's kind of like it had a purpose, because if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have gotten into tarot. So the excitement of it, even though it was totally wrong, I was like, yeah, it was cool. And at that age, I didn't know what the future was going to be. So,
yeah, well, if I look at your website or at what you do on Facebook, for example, you like to make a show, I have to say. You do it very nicely. It's very interesting, the pictures you take. And of course, you're a very stunning person. So, well, honor where honor lies, or how you say. But so for you, perhaps this is already something about this connection of tarot and dance. Do you like to do readings, or do you like to perform readings?
Ooh, both, definitely. I love giving tarot readings, and I used to do it a lot more, but it's something I absolutely love to do. And I've done it in so many different spaces, from like New York gay clubs to like corporate events to like private parties to Renaissance fair. But performing tarot, it to me is very different, because it's working more with the esoteric tarot for me. So it's actually, to me, it's not quite as like mysterious and mystical, and a little bit more almost like serious and like cosmic and like primordial and like psychological, and like it's more like the underpinnings of tarot. So I'm like thinking more about the structure of it and like why like the hangman is where it is, and all of the symbols and like how that's experienced in the body and in life and in concepts. So yeah.
So if I understand this correctly, when you do a reading for somebody, this is not, you're not interested in how you portray it. You're not using a glass, I'm losing my English here. Yeah, right. Yeah, you're just then Joe, and you're not like to perform like a clairvoyant in a clairvoyant setting or anything.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's different levels of performativity always, because I naturally, in my opinion, just I think there is a version of me that comes out, but it's definitely nothing close to like if I'm performing tarot, which is like an experience that I'm very specifically curating, and I'm controlling the ingredients, and I'm using different mediums, and it's like, yeah, that's much more like up here. Well, when I'm reading, it's like more intuitive and in my mind, whereas performance is very much in the material world.
I really like when you say this and you have the two heads next to you.
Oh,
yeah. Quite funny. So you say you're a counselor, but also a tarot reader. And I was wondering, when you said this, is there any difference really?
You know, there really is. And I didn't expect there to be, there's a lot of similarities. There really is a lot. With coaching, I'm working with clients like every week, and I am working with them from a process, whether that's 3 months or 6 months, and I'm working to help them get somewhere. And I have to like look at every little thing in their life, their work, their relationships, their feelings, what they thought last week, and see how all these things are like affecting everything else. And it's when I am coaching someone, the biggest thing I learned is it's completely all about them all the time. So I have to literally get into their reality tunnel and let go of what I think about what they want and see what they actually want, and see if what their actions are supporting that. And in tarot, it's more, I get to kind of, whether it's using my guides or using my own intuition or my neshama or whatever you want to call it, that's kind of mine, even though I'm picking up theirs. And whatever the message that comes through is going to come through my filter, whether it's spirit or the cosmos is going to use my internal reality to get the message across to them. And I don't have to always know what it means. But if I'm coaching someone, I have to know what it's going to mean to them and what that's going to create. It's very different. It's similar, but different. Yeah.
So it's a kind of, you're an oracle for the one, and for the others, you're a kind of psychologist.
I'm maybe want to be a psychologist. I'll be honest. Maybe want to be. Definitely not a psychologist, but I have a couple clients that are psychologists, and it's really interesting. But maybe in next life I'll be a psychologist. I would love to be. I love psychologists. So interesting.
Well, you still have time to become one. Don't worry. Yeah. And you have been many things. You just mentioned a few. When did you start to have interest in dance?
So I started dancing in high school, and kind of with musical theater. And then I got into a competitive school called Mason Gross School of the Arts at Rutgers University. And that's really where it happened, because then I was like working with a lot of professional choreographers, a lot of modern dancers, very experimental, very highbrow, and that like really transformed my world. And that kind of got me thinking about what performance can really do. And then I started a company after that for 5 years. And after the company, I shifted gears and started doing something else. But yeah, it was such an amazing journey. So
a company, you mean a dance company?
Yeah.
Okay. I was just thinking about business. Okay. How many people did you have?
It was about 5 people plus me, but it would change a little bit here and there, but it was usually about the same 4 or 5 people. And a lot of the work was solo work that I did. I would say 70% of the work was solo work. because it was more cost effective. I could travel it, especially like if I was doing international work, like it was just easier to just bring my body because I had to if I were to go. Well, I guess I didn't have to bring my body. I could have astral projected, but and then, but yeah, a lot of the really involved work was also like tended to be with the whole company, which was really fun, which was like, and we also included like props and like video elements and sound editing and yeah.
And did you then already connect tarot and dance?
So that happened. It's kind of weird. I feel like it was happening subconsciously because as I was learning, they were separate for a long time, or consciously separate. And then even from the beginning of my choreographic career, I was always incorporating elements of mysticism. The biggest one being like the tension that exists in separation, like the agony of separation as opposed to union. Like, why are we separate people? Why do we feel disconnected? Like the mystical path as returning to union, yoga. And that question kept popping up in different ways, especially in reflection of the kind of where we are collectively and aesthetically in terms of architecture and technology. And it's like everything is so stark and so like, like rigid and like houses, and we're separated. And I love that. My friends joke and call me a robot because I love robotic and sci-fi and cyberpunk stuff.
See the picture behind you.
Yeah, like, I love that kind of thing. It's like, and that would just interest me. And so I started to really think, oh my God, a lot of these pieces are related to tarot cards. And I started to realize that pieces were the cards, but sometimes I wouldn't know until like a few months after the piece was done, or like a year after. I would be like, oh, like that's the magician card. Oh my goodness. And then I would start seeing all the connections. And I study like, not like old school, but a little old school, like the esoteric tarot. So Kabbalah and astrology and like the Golden Dawn stuff. So all those associations came flooding into my head of like, oh, if this is the magician, then this is like the Hebrew letter Bet, which is house. And then this is also Mercury. And then like all these things. So I would like really link a lot of those associations in the choreographic process.
Okay. Yeah, I can relate to this. I do this when I write. Then lots of stuff connects basically while I'm writing. I can understand this, I think. I hope.
Cool. Oh, I'd love to hear about that.
It's a we're talking about dance.
All right, we're going to put a pin in it. I definitely want to come back and look.
Yes, let's do something about tarot and literature then next time.
Ooh, okay, cool.
No, but so this somehow came all together. But how would you say, on what level do dance and tarot connect? Do they have something in common, same message, or is it also oracle or whatever? Do you have any ideas about that?
I have a lot of different theories. For me personally, dance and tarot have a very conceptual connection, which is weird. It's actually not as physical as, for me, as you might think. It's like, for example, if I started to really more like channel pieces or like intuitively figure them out. And I'm working on a piece now, actually. But as I figure it out, it's very much in my head in the images as opposed to the body. It's very much in the sound that I use, the video imagery that I project with the piece, the props that I use. And the movement is, to me, almost like not always as important, which is interesting. So it's more about the whole piece. I think that in terms of, but on the other hand, I do think that we have so much memorized emotion and experience in our body. Like the body is just like an archive of so much stuff. So I do think all the arcana are in the body in one way or another. And I think you can map them out in so many cool ways. I mean, you can take like something as crazy as like the suit of swords and map out the respiratory system with the suit of swords, for example. But yeah, for me, it's very conceptual. And it's very much about the intention in the performance.
So would you look at the card, you using the Thoth deck, I think, and just think, I can make a dance out of this?
Usually I will be thinking about a concept. So for example, the universe card. I didn't look at it and say, "Oh, I'm going to make a dance about the universe."
Can you show it a bit more that people can see it better? You have the slide flashing up. Yeah, like this, it's quite good. Okay. I hope everybody knows the universe card by Thoth, by Crowley, I mean.
Yeah, it's the world card by Smith and Waite, but either one. But I wasn't like thinking about, I wanted to make a piece about the universe. I was playing, have you ever played the video game Minecraft?
My son plays it a lot.
Okay, so it's like, I was playing that game, and in the game, everything you can deconstruct. So every single thing in the game is made up of like a cube, and you could destroy the cube and create something else with those resources. And I was looking at playing this game, and I'm like, oh my God, that's life. You just destroy something, you take the resources and energy and make something else. And that's what the universe is doing. Not only that, but the whole universe in Minecraft is built of cubes, which to me is like a representation of Maya, the world of illusion, the world of like, Alan Watts talks a lot about this, how like we see reality and we put a grid on it and we label everything and we cut it up into pieces because the mind cuts things up into pieces. So I'm playing this game, Minecraft, and I'm thinking of all these mystical things, and I'm thinking, I'm going to make a dance about transmutation, about turning cubes into something else. And so we literally got these earth cubes, and they were building, and then they would undo these earth cubes and create like a square. And then all of a sudden I realized it was about the square and the circle. So we had a circle of grass and then a square of metal on the stage. It's like squaring the circle, that whole mystical, I think it stems from Greek, either philosophy or Greek mysticism, but it's a big thing. The square and the circle are huge mystical ideas. And then as the piece was developing, I was like, oh my God, it's the world. It's the universe. It's that place of heaven and earth meeting, fully manifested, however we want to look at it. And there were 4 dancers in it, and so the 4 cherubic beasts were there, and yeah, it was fun.
Is this one of the video? Sorry, is this one of the footage you?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So why don't we have a look at this? So yeah, perhaps for people watching, it's easier to understand for me as well. I just have to figure out how we do it good. Yeah. So this is, can you tell people which website we are on here?
Sure. So my website is tarotwithjoe.com. If you go to tarotwithjoe.com and hit the button that says performance, it'll take you to a page where you can view several of my pieces that I've done. On this page specifically, it has the different pieces that I've done connected with the tarot cards. So, yeah, and then eventually, there's the world right there. This piece is called Squaring the Circle, and that's from 2016.
Okay, I'm just thinking whether we can get this bigger. If I press here, no, here. Right. So I get it started. Well, no, this doesn't work like this. Can we see it now? I have to switch. It's a bit small.
So yeah, what they're doing is they're deconstructing these cardboard earth cubes and building.
Oh, I think we have to stop so people can. It's quite a. That's not that long, but I can't hear you properly. Perhaps I can switch down my volume. Wait. No, I have to switch down. Doesn't make sense. Here. Like this. So now you can talk.
Okay. I was just saying that if anyone wants to like watch more of these or have a couple of the full length pieces, you can go to tarotwithjoe.com, or my YouTube is Joe Monteleone, which is just my full name, Monteleone, and I have some more pieces there. But yeah, this was like such an interesting. Honestly, this piece was a little bit weird. Do you ever have like those projects that want to like do everything and answer everything and like ask too many questions? This was kind of like one of those projects that didn't stop. So it was like a little bit, yeah, it was a lot.
Yeah, but that's what the world is about, isn't it?
Yeah, I agree. Yes, totally.
Yeah, we can show later another video, but so what I get from this, it's quite abstract actually, and you said it's a concept work, and I really was reminded, the first thing which I was reminded was a film I really liked, which was called To Live and Die in LA. It's an 80s film, and there's this kind of dance going on in this film, and I already told you that you're quite 80s. So I think people have to watch these videos in more detail for themselves, but the idea of working with ancient symbols and bringing them to life by movement is quite interesting. And I would say that the universe or the world is especially a good card for dancing, because she seems to be dancing anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But what do you do with cards which are more abstract? You mentioned the swords. Like, could you do a dance with the Four of Swords, for example?
I haven't really gotten into the minor arcana yet, actually. Though I have used the minors in the creative process. So, for example, there was one rehearsal where we went through the Tree of Life, the Kabbalistic Tree of Life, which, if anyone doesn't know, is something that was incorporated into tarot, I think, in like 1700s-ish. They started to mix things up, a lot of French occultists. And anyway, tarot and Kabbalah got along. I think they got along great. Not everyone does. I think they are the best couple ever. I would never want to separate them. And I think Kabbalah is awesome. But the Tree of Life is like a map of the universe or the self, and the tarot is mapped out with it. And so we actually went through like 0, 1 to 10, and there's these spheres that mean different things, and each sphere created a different kind of movement for the dancers. So I would ask, like, for example, the number 5 is like challenging and like struggle and judgment, and I would say, okay, dancers, pick a movement for severity, number 5, and then number 6 would be harmony or beauty. Pick a movement for harmony and beauty, and we would go through the Tree of Life, and that's how they would create their movement, and we would put it all together. Yeah. Which is connected to the, like, you can put on the suit of swords or the suit of wands. But yeah. I haven't yet, but maybe I will now. That's a good idea. I should do.
Yeah, I thought I understood that you're working yourself through all the cards.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to work through all the major cards, and I probably the minor cards too eventually. Yeah. Yeah, now you're giving me new ideas. Now I'm thinking of the court cards and like drag, and like court cards would be great for drag.
Court cards would be excellent for that, especially the ones from the Foss Tarot.
Yeah, right?
I lost my thread again. I'm so sorry, Joe. I'm really a bit tired.
Oh no, you've been interviewing all day, and by the way, thank you so much for doing this.
No, I'm so sorry that I can't appreciate you more.
I'm so happy to be here. This is so much fun.
No, but I just had an idea about your dance. Right. You said something before we went online that on Tuesday you're going to do another card. And A, please tell us where we can watch this. And B, does this mean you're doing this on your own somewhere, or do you go to a place with other people, or what's happening there?
So yeah, I'm gonna be premiering a new tarot card. I'm not gonna say what it is because I want when people to see it to just connect with it and see if they can guess. But the place I'm gonna so Sasha Graham, who's amazing actress, tarot professional. Sasha Graham is having a Spirited Away Psychic and Paranormal Night in Brooklyn on Tuesday, May 25th. So it's gonna be 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern time at Barrow's Intense Tasting Room. 80 and the location is 86 34th Street, Brooklyn, New York. I am totally reading that because I do not have memory at all. It's
That's totally okay.
I just read.
We can't be there.
Yeah, for anyone, and in terms of watching it, I think I'm either gonna. My Instagram is Tarot with Joe, so I'll either Instagram it live or Facebook Live it, or I'll record it and post it later on. But yeah, it's gonna be an interesting one for sure.
And so you're performing in a club or whatever it is, and there are other people there, and it's is it something you do on your own, or are other dancers doing this?
This one I'm gonna be the event is gonna have psychics and different people presenting material about tarot. I think there's gonna be a medium there. I'm going to be performing alone. It's gonna be a multimedia drag dance hybrid piece. It's gonna be a few things. Yep.
Which one is the drag card for you in tarot?
Oh, which one is the drag card? Like in terms of like what it would symbolize. You know, honestly, all of them, because I think everything is drag. Just where I am at now in my mind and my relationship with gender, I feel like everything's drag. But if I had to pick one, honestly, that's a good one. I'm not sure.
What is drag about, actually, if you don't mind me asking? I had once a boyfriend who turned into a drag queen, and I couldn't quite understand what he was doing. But it was a long time ago. It's a bit personal, perhaps, but I really would like to know the difference between being gay and being drag.
Totally. Oh, by the way, I think a fun card for drag would be the Wheel of Fortune, because you never know what you're going to get.
That's excellent.
But so that's an interesting question, and I think everyone will give you a different answer. And from my experience, I'm going to tell you what I learned from the drag queens that I have learned from. For me, honestly, when it really comes down to it, everything is drag. I mean, clothing style, it's all arbitrary. Like, gender is very arbitrary. Like, you have maybe anatomical sex, but it's like the amount of arbitrary stuff that we do because of gender is ridiculous. I think it's just like there's so much programming of what it means to be a man and what it means to be a woman and all this stuff. And it's like, you know, when I started to explore drag, I thought I was exploring like my feminine side, but actually I was exploring my masculine side in a way I never knew. And I'll tell you, I learned more about womanhood and manhood from a drag queen than probably anybody else. I've seen more gender expression, both sides, men and women, from drag queens. Because at the end of the day, drag is just expression of gender, any gender at all. So it could be like whatever gender means to you, you just express it. It's kind of like you can, whether it's flaunted or bringing it to an extreme or making fun of it or a parody or whatever. It's like just more expression of gender and style and humanity itself. So, but I mean, there's sexual orientation, like what you like. Like, I personally like men romantically, but I'm also like, I don't think like, oh, I am gay, so I must only like men. People are people, you know, that's just my history. And even that, it's like, a lot of my friends and just who I know and a lot of people that I work with I like the word queer because it's more open and it can encapsulate a lot of things, and not just about orientation, because then there's like gender identity and like gender expression, which could be a different thing. And I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's about, drag is an art form. It's like the art of expressing gender to me, but you know, that's a different answer to everyone. But then orientation is different. Like, I can be like, you can have a drag queen who's like straight or gay and have a totally different gender, or, you know, because then there's also like transgender, and which is when you are not the gender that you were assigned at birth. But yeah.
Okay, so I haven't had my answer yet, but I see what you.
No, sorry. Your question was.
No. I didn't mean that you have to give me the answer.
Okay.
It's just it was more a philosophical comment.
Yeah. But, you know, it's interesting because like that's a big thing in tarot too. Like gender is such a big thing, and I mean the history of tarot to me is a little misogynistic. I mean, if we think about how like it's always the man that's in the sky and the spirit, and the woman is the sinful earth. Like, okay, old school misogyny, we can like let that go. But the what it's really talking about is like the above and the below as gender. And to me, whenever I talk about gender in occultism and magic, I'm thinking more about like positive and negative, and less about like man or woman, because I feel like we all have both of those. We can all give and we can all receive. You know, we all have initiative and intuition and understanding. Yeah, it's definitely an interesting thing, and I like remixing it a lot.
Wouldn't the perfect queer, transgender, drag card then be art?
Yes, I love that. I would love that. Yeah, totally. Yep, balancing that's beautiful. Yeah. And then I would even say like it's the opposite of art, which would be the lovers in Gemini, would be like the separation of different identities, the multiplicity of the self in many forms, masculine, feminine, and then coming back together in the art card. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I can relate to this. That's very interesting. So we transgressed from dance. Again.
so many portals. I love it.
When you do so I understand how you create your dances or choreograph them. It's more conceptual ideas. But how do you feel when you dance a tarot card? Do you feel you live the card then, or is it also a concept?
You know, I think there's definitely an energy behind it, but I would have to say I feel like the card operates through my own energy. I always feel a certain energy. It's like a certain vibe. And people actually say to me, like, they look at me differently when I'm performing. And then afterwards they're like, oh, wow, you're so like gentle and stuff. I didn't expect that. I'm like, oh, just whatever. And so like I have this like very like serious, I guess, vibe when I'm on stage, and this energy that I like to work with that is always there. And then the card will take that energy and do different things with it. But I have felt that to me the tarot performances are ritualistic, and they've become more ritualistic over time, or more magical over time. I mean magical in the terms of like creating change in accordance with what I want to create change with. So I will eventually have somewhat of an intention with the pieces, and they definitely create a lot of change.
Okay, so yeah, sorry, I'm just monitoring what people are saying. So Mel is asking, where can I see a video? You joined probably later, Mel. We have the show notes, the link in the show notes, but Joe also said he has a YouTube channel, which I haven't linked yet, but will link, and then you can watch all the videos. No problem.
Yeah, tarotwithjoe.com has a lot of videos. That's probably, I guess that's in the show notes.
So have you ever experienced a moment where you had a connection of dance and tarot without a concept before?
Yeah. And I think sometimes it's like an energy, and just a feeling, or it's like an experience in my life, or like a bunch of signs keep showing up, and I'll be like, oh yeah, it's the star. Oh yeah, it's the star. Oh yeah, it's the star. The star was a wild one. I did the star. It was actually a burlesque piece that I did, and it actually, oh my God, it created the worst relationship of my whole life. It was great, just what I needed. Because the star is about like being alone and like the self, and like being naked and hopeful and inspiration to the self. And
I have to look for the star then.
Yeah, actually, you know what? I don't know if it's on. The image in the background of me in the astronaut suit is part of that. I don't know if the star is up here yet. I don't.
Moon, Emperor, Fool, Tower, Magus, no star.
Yeah, I'll definitely put it up in the next few weeks. It might. I don't know if it's on my YouTube or not. There's that.
Don't try this again. Don't try this again.
Okay, I won't. I'm very bad with technology. we were going over this. I have a conjunction of Mars and Mercury on my like midheaven. It's the technology. No, too stressful.
That's quite funny. Well, I don't know where what else I could ask you about tarot and dance. I mean, I have seen some people doing a dance through the whole of the major arcana, and usually it's kind of a representation of the cards starting to move. You seem to do it differently by really having an abstract idea and then relating it towards the cards. The one question I had, which we discussed as well before we went online, was would you say that dance and tarot match well because they both have a kind of spiritual dimension? My idea was about that it's good for going somewhere where we don't have words for.
Yes. Yeah, I definitely think so. And to me, it's really about like, yeah, performance and dance. Like, ultimately, it's a mystical path for me. It's like trying to figure out, what are we doing here? Why is there suffering? What's up? Where do we go next? Like these questions, and like getting to the moment when you feel the most alive. So whether that's through dancing or any type of art making or watching art or something where you're just like, there's not a doubt in your mind that you're alive, that to me brings me to the place of where I believe the tarot is giving us breadcrumbs to, perhaps. I think definitely the body is so like amorphous and moving and like curvy, and like the tarot to me is actually very neatly like structured. So I like that in some way, the contrast of that, like the body is constantly in motion and the tarot is constantly in motion too, even though it's represented to us in 78 memes, you know.
Memes.
Right? 78 cosmic memes of the human consciousness. Esoteric memes. But yeah.
Sorry.
I love memes. Oh my god. One day I want to open up like a museum and call it like the Mima. But like, you know, the MoMA, but like the Mima, it'll have like high art, money laundering, and everything. Like it'll be like high class memes, low class memes. Yeah.
I never thought of tarot cards as memes. It says memes. It's interesting. So perhaps we will see them online instead of stupid politician faces.
That would be great.
And quite entertaining. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, ballet is dance is not really a meme, I think.
But I do think, yeah, I think that, and also so many systems in the body going on, like your neurological system, your muscular system, and the body has, so to me, the form of the body, like the way that the body can create like form is really interesting. And that is what the tarot does. It takes these really primordial, elusive concepts and puts them into these boxes and says, take this, play with it, understand it. Okay, when you're bored with that, take this and play with it. That's kind of what the body does. And what I do in movement, I like make a shape, and then when I'm bored with it, I'll make another shape, and then I'll make another shape, and then I'll make another shape. So
you've got the tree of life on your arm.
I do, yes.
Good Lord.
Yeah. I have a lot of tattoos. when I die, I want my body to be like an esoteric like grimoire. So just take my body and like learn all the or like if aliens find it one day, they can be like, oh, this is what humanity was up to. Like they can like
this and the square RoboCops behind you.
Yeah. Yeah. Love that.
That was fun. Joe, I think we gave people an impression about tarot and dance, and I really think you are a great guy. You do very interesting stuff. And I need to talk to you again about some other issue when I'm less tired.
Okay, cool.
No, I really enjoyed this talk, and I will link everything in the show notes, and I hope that you will have loads of visitors on Tuesday.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, it's a pity I can't travel to America right now.
Maybe I'll travel to you one day. That would be fun.
One of these days I will show up again now that you have another president. It's more likely.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah, exactly. So are there any things you still want to say to tell people?
If anyone wants to connect with me or just geek out about tarot or talk about love or talk about fire spinning drag or whatever, or just say hi, you can reach me at my website, which is tarotwithjoe.com, or my email, tarotwithjoe@gmail.com. My Instagram is Tarot with Joe. My YouTube is Joe Monteleone. And I'm also on Clubhouse as Tarot with Joe. And pretty much everything's Tarot with Joe. But would love to connect with you. Always down to geek out. And I have a lot of upcoming events and lectures here and there in the next few months. So I'll keep people updated on that. And I just want to say thank you so much for having me and letting me totally geek out into this world. It was so much fun chatting with you. I definitely want to hear more about your writing and your connections to your esoteric work and your tarot work. That will be fun.
I sent you my short story, The Hanged Man.
Ooh, that's my favorite card. Oh, I
like it a lot as well.
Oh, sweet. Cool.
Neil, who was watching, who is also a brilliant tarot guy, you know him probably. He said, very inspiring. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to see you on the 12th. We're doing a tarot event from our association, and Neil is doing the show magic for that one.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah, and Daniela is there. Daniela again.
Talented. Wow.
Daniela is now for the 3rd time here with me tonight. So she really enjoyed it as well. And I'm sure, even though Tatort is on right now in Germany, people will watch this video later and will come back to you. And I wish you loads of luck with your creative work.
Thank you so much. And same to you. I definitely hope we can chat again soon.
We will do that. And if not here, then some other place.
Cool.
So I go and have my, how do you call it? Free time? No, spare time? No, stop of work. Oh, I'm losing really, really my English. It's very embarrassing. I need to shoot.
Honestly, you know, you can speak more than one language. That's amazing. I never got past one. So it's so inspiring to me, by the way. That is so cool.
You speak dance, which is a language as well.
Yeah, I guess. I guess. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Sleep well, everybody out there. If you're in America, you still have some time before you go to bed. And we see all of us at one point again. Bye for now. Bye, Joe. It was really nice talking to you.
You too. Thank you.
Bye.